Hello everybody, and welcome to Retro Vertigo. We're counting down 10 obscure, maybe a little weird, maybe a little wonderful horror and sci-fi films from the 1990s. We're about to dive deep into the forgotten corners of the video store, the dusty shelves where the real obscurities hide. This list is paced for just over a 10-minute video, so hopefully you don't find it too long without having to, listening too long to my ramblings. So, full transparency right up front. This list was AI generated after searching multiple sites for obscure 90s titles. I fed the machine a prompt, a desire for the weird and the overlooked, and it spat out the following. It's then taken that list and been asked to give you its thoughts. The narrator, or myself narrating this video, is also AI generated and is actually taken from a real recording of my own voice. Scary stuff. Alright, kicking off our countdown at number 10, we have a moody piece from 1993 called The Dark, starring Stephen McCarthy, James Woolvert and Breon James. Don't let the generic title fool you. Sometimes the simplest names hide the most interesting things, like a box that just says food, but inside is the world's greatest pizza. This film is a supernatural thriller that really leans into atmosphere. It's not about jump scares every 5 seconds, no, it's about slow, creeping dread that gets under your skin and stays there. The premise: a mysterious creature is burrowing underground, wreaking havoc on a small town. A skeptical scientist, a determined cop. The movie does interesting things with them. It's less about the monster and more about the paranoia and the mystery around it. It makes you look at your backyard differently, what's really down there. What sells it are the performances grounded even when things get bonkers. Late night Channel 5 or ITV4 vibes. It feels like something you'd stumble upon at 2 AM and for some reason stay up to watch. The budget shows, some effects are of their time, but that's part of the charm. For moody, understated vibes and atmosphere over cheap thrills, The Dark earns number 10. Coming in at number 9, we're cranking the schlock dial to 11 with Tixes from 1993, starring Seth Green, Ami Dolenz, Alfonso Ribeiro. Not spiders, not snakes, ticks. And in this movie, they're the size of your fist. They're hopped up on steroids, literally the plot, and very angry. Troubled teens on a retreat. 90s cast fever dream energy. It's B-movie gold. Glorious practical effects. Clicking, skittering, goose-spewing mayhem. The perfect group watch. Pure, over-the-top entertainment. Tix owns number 9. At number 8, we're in deep cut sequel land with Extro 3 Watch the Skies, starring Andrew Divoff and Sal Landy. Marines are sent to clean up an island, but surprise, they find a captured alien and it gets loose. Predator made with pocket change, the film is janky in places, but bursting with low budget creativity. The suits rubbery, the effects messy, but you can see that someone tried to put passion into it. Gritty shot, on film look, late era, straight to video sci-fi energy and delightfully weird moments. For gutsy ambition and cult schlock charm, Extro 3 lands at number 8. Number 7, shifting gears to serious, richly atmospheric horror from Dan O'Bannon, writer of Alien and Total Recall, comes The Resurrected 1991. Starring Chris Sarandon, John Terry, Jane Sibbett. A private eye investigates an eccentric chemist dabbling in alchemy, reanimation and unspeakable evil. True Lovecraftian restraint. You see effects of the horror long before the horror. Thick atmosphere noir investigation which then slides into cosmic terror. Chris Sarandon is terrific once again in a horror movie. You can see his humanity draining as his obsession deepens. When it arrives, the practical horror is stomach churning and worth the wait. If you love cosmic dread done right, seek this one out. Chilling, intelligent and criminally overlooked, The Resurrected claims number 7. Number 6, The Borrower, a wonderfully weird 1991 oddity, starring Ray Dawn Chong, Don Gordon, Antonio Fargas. From John McNaughton of Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer comes this. An alien is devolved into a human and exiled to Earth, but the process is unstable. His head keeps exploding, so he literally borrows new heads. Yes, that is the premise. It tightropes between grisly horror and pitch black comedy. Gritty cop procedural grounds the bonkers creature feature. Not for everyone an acquired taste, but unforgettable if you love cinematic oddities. For off-the-wall premise and gory black comedy, The Borrower snatches number 6. Hold on to your head. Number 5, Brain Scan, 1994. So aggressively 90s, it sweats grunge and bleeds dial-up. Starring Edward Furlong, T. Ryder Smith, Frank Langella, tech paranoia, video games and virtual reality turning into a nightmare invitation. Michael, a lonely horror fan, orders a hyper-real VR game called Brain Scan. He commits a virtual murder, then sees the exact crime on the news. The line blurs. The Trickster, a punk rock virtual demon, won't let him quit. Is he a killer? Being framed, losing his mind. The film keeps you guessing, a visual feast of dated, nostalgic tech when magic felt like a potential curse. For tech paranoia, a killer high concept, and psychological twists, Brain Scan boots up at number 5. Must watch for retro tech horror fans. It's a killer app, literally. At number 4, a grimy, gory, post-apocalyptic nightmare, Mind Warp, 1992, starring Bruce Campbell, Angus Scrimm, Marta Alicia. Humanity lives in a sterile VR paradise called Infinisynth. Judy is bored with perfection, she wants the real world. The Outlands are a brutal wasteland crawling with mutants called crawlers. She's captured, then rescued by a rugged survivor named Stover, the glorious Bruce Campbell. The movie swerves from sterile VR tale to gritty wasteland survival to full-on cannibal horror. Produced by Fangoria, they do not skimp on the gore. You can smell the rust and decay, the crawlers are genuinely creepy. Campbell elevates everything, charisma, one-liners, mutant punching, for wild genre bending, grim future vision, and Bruce's presence. Number 4. Number 3 is a movie covered in one of our previous videos in detail and is Hardware 1990. Pure uncut cyberpunk grit. Starring Dylan McDermott, Stacey Travis, John Lynch. Richard Stanley builds a terrifying future on a shoestring. Feels like a transmission from hell. A scavenger brings parts to Jill, a metal artist, which she then turns them into a sculpture. Big mistake, it's a Mark 13 killing machine, self-rebuilding off the power grid, single location terror, a relentless murder bot in a cramped apartment. Tension is savage. Phenomenal practicals, a clanking, jury-rigged monster made of scrap and hatred, killer soundtrack with Ministry and Public Image Limited, cameos by Lemmy and Iggy Pop, punk, soul. For visuals, practicals, claustrophobia, and cult status, Hardware drills into number 3. No flesh shall be spared. Sliding into number 2, Cube 1990, a minimalist sci-fi horror masterpiece, starring Nicole DeBoer, David Hewlett, Maurice Dean Wint. Strangers wake up in a cube room with hatches on walls, floor, and ceiling. Each door leads to an identical room, some safe, others rigged with gruesome traps. A pressure cooker of paranoia, human drama as terrifying as the traps. They realise their skills might solve the puzzle logic with primes and coordinates. Genius design, one set. New colours to fake infinity. Red, blue, green, white. Every colour brings fresh dread. It's striking and unsettling. High concept, relentless intention. An indie landmark cube earns number 2. And here we are. The number 1 spot, The Reflecting Skin, 1990, not just horror. This film is art, a poem, a fever dream. Starring Jeremy Cooper, Viggo Mortensen, Lindsay Duncan. Set in the 1950s American plains, told through 8-year-old Seth's eyes. Not happy days, the world is full of decay, isolation, and quiet despair. Seth's friends vanish. He's convinced a lonely English widow is a vampire. Director Philip Ridley is a painter, every frame a canvas. Golden fields, blackened gas stations, decaying frogs. A dark fairy tale of lost innocence, reality and imagination constantly blur. No cheap jumps, just pervasive dread and unforgettable imagery. For unique tone, haunting visuals, and thematic depth, The Reflecting Skin is my number 1. If you watch one, make it this. And that's the list. 10 trips back to the 90s for some of the weirdest and most wonderful horror and sci that time forgot. From mutant ticks to killer cubes to the most beautifully depressing fields of wheat. I told you it was going to get weird. I hope I delivered. A huge thank you for joining me on this deep dive into dusty video store corners. What did you think of the list? Seen any of these? What did I miss? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you had a good time. It really helps the channel, and make sure you don't miss our next hunt for cinematic gold. There's a universe of weird and wonderful movies out there waiting to be rediscovered. Until next time, keep your VCRs clean and your tracking adjusted.